Good evening, everybody. It's Lorraine Alternative Homesteading on September 4, 2025. And I'm going to continue with part 2, targeting civilians with directed energy, crisis unseen, of a program, quote-unquote, by Sami, or Sami Dia, S-A-M-I Dia. I'm going to read from his website, crisisunseen.com, the program. I downloaded it, and this a free download. So yesterday I read the introduction, directed energy and nanotechnology, and today I'm going to read about targeted individuals. This book is an open access publication. It's listed under the terms of the Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 International License. And you can download this as a PDF from their website. And let's continue. So this is on page 14. Targeted individuals. And the author states that I was often subjected to additional impairment and torture with directed energy whenever I would start working on this book. This book was written with my highest effort over a period of 14 months. So yesterday we read the introduction and the directed energy and nanotechnology, and today we're going to read about targeted individuals. Targeted individuals, TIs, are individuals whom the deep state has subjected to remote and covert systemic neutralization with directed energy, DE, and remote neural monitoring, RNM, which might also involve non-consensual experimentation, which is what I am experiencing. This systemic neutralization includes measures such as discrediting, decreasing effectiveness, and isolation of the target. For example, decreased effectiveness can be achieved by using DE to cause communication difficulties, cognitive dysfunction, or torture. By using various DE effects, this will be done in amounts that hinders the target's ability to influence and sabotages other areas for the complete life of the target, the TI. This neutralization will be described throughout this book. Now I'm going to say there are other methods that they utilize. When they have your brain signature, they can put you to sleep, knock you out, or pause you to steal your time. 15 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. So some of the common patterns from reports of TIs show this targeting is being done through a black program. The targeting of a TI by this program is covert to others because of the covert nature of DE, directed energy, and the intelligence in how it's done. DE effects are often induced in a way that appears natural and mimics natural phenomenon. Well, there is nothing natural that's happening to my body. Like the incisions, the scars, rashes that appear, blotches, burn marks. There is nothing remotely natural about this. And so it's not mimicking anything natural that occurs to me at my age at 67 years old. The program is using at least 5 categories of DE effects and surveillance technologies, as mentioned in the introduction. There is a remote neural monitoring, surveilling the target's thoughts, emotions, and senses, such as mental imagery, verbal thoughts, and what the target is seeing. Physiological manipulation. Forceful and precise control over the target's body, such as moving limbs, forcing the target to speak specific words, and directly controlling organ functions. Organ functions. Artificial, psychological states, altering mental and physical states, such as inducing emotions, mood, stress, and altering consciousness. Cognitive dysfunction. Selective impairments of various functions of cognition, such as memory and decision making, which can be done intermittently or remain for longer periods. Artificial sensory experiences, inducing the target to perceive sensory experiences such as speech, pain, and visual imagery. TIs have two phases in their targeting. The first phase is when the TI is covertly targeted with DE. During this time, covert DE effects will be attributed to natural causes. Even though some occurrences will be unusual, the usual response of the target is to attribute the effects based on their understanding of how the world works, which does not include DE effects, and either address it as a natural occurrence or ignore it. For example, an intermittent induction of cognitive dysfunction could be attributed to a natural cognitive lapse, a physiological manipulation of dropping an item attributed to a mistake, and an induced emotional state attributed to an event. As long as an individual is covertly targeted, they will continue to be unaware they are being sabotaged by directed energy. Much of the DE effects can seemingly occur naturally and feel natural to the person who is being done to. It's never felt natural to me. Zero. It has never felt natural to me. The second phase of the TI program is when the program's presence increasingly becomes known to the TI. 10 years ago. One characterization of targeting going overt is the direct energy effects that are done more overtly, such as those used for torture. The program reveals itself and the capabilities of DE for this kind of neutralization and experimentation to occur. Then the TI becomes aware of the capability of the DE and is sensitized to correctly identifying the DE effects. For example, an induced physical movement will contrast with what the target intends, and it differs from their natural response to stimuli, or will be a missing effort. TIs experience commonalities in their targeting, such as facing induced cognitive dysfunction, chronic torture, breaking down of ego via voice to skull, inducing a target to hear the desired voices, and it's being done daily and lifelong from the time the targeting goes over. And we've got a creepy voice on all of my live streams, by the way, my local cameras here. And when I do an interview with anybody else, the creepy voice kind of kicks in. TIs experience commonalities. Okay, I just read that. Most TIs reach their status by being selected, apparently at random, for a type of lifelong experimentation that involves torture and mind control using directed energy effects. The ordinary men and women and children who are subjected to this experimentation are assigned a high neutralization level by default, regardless of their actions or circumstances. The program doesn't necessarily seek to delete, I'll use that word, delete such TIs, but to neutralize them so that they can be experimented on with directed energy and remote neuromonitoring without consequences. Yeah, right. If you're going to do that, then you don't engage your crazy-ass neighbors, because it's so easy to collect evidence when you've got morons stalking you. MK Ultra. In January 1975, growing public concern and media reports about illegal domestic activities by U.S. intelligence agencies such as the CIA, my favorite Bureau of Investigation, FBI, the NSA led the U.S. Senate to establish the Church Committee and President Gerald Ford to create the Rockefeller Commission. The purpose of these bodies was to investigate abuses by these agencies, which were already under scrutiny at the time. In June of 1975, the investigative bodies confirmed the existence of a program called MK Ultra to the public from the gathering of documents and testimonies from CIA personnel. The goal of MK Ultra was to develop mind control techniques. It involved experiments on mostly unwitting victims, including civilians, military personnel, prisoners, and mentally ill patients. The experimentation involved a variety of methods such as drugs, sensory deprivation, hypnosis, and other methods to explore the potential for mind control. In 1977, following the investigations, a batch of about 20,000 documents related to MK Ultra were found. These documents were uncovered by accident, as they had been stored in the CIA's financial records archive instead of the primary MK Ultra files. These documents confirmed the CIA had downplayed the extensive experimentation on U.S. citizens disclosed to the investigative bodies. The long-term psychological damage inflicted on MK Ultra victims is profound and far-reaching. Many survivors continue to experience long-lasting, often permanent, mental health issues. No one was punished or lost pay for the illegal MK Ultra program. The TI program bears some similarities with MK Ultra, including government involvement and non-consensual mind control experimentation. Former CIA and DARPA contractor Dr. Robert Duncan, who has worked on parts of the technology for the TI program, has informed the public that the CIA is involved with the program and the technology that is currently deployed against the public. So here's a brief history of targeted individuals. The term targeted individuals might have been coined by former Navy scientist Dr. Eldon Byrd, B-Y-R-D, who had received about 1,000 emails from TIs asking him for help. In a 2001 speech, while discussing the possibility of TIs experiencing mind control, he stated, quote, "We'll go over some of the possibilities concerning the source of the claim that mind control is real and being inflicted upon certain individuals, which we call the targeted individuals," unquote. However, the beginning of the TI program had started earlier. Dr. Robert Duncan, who has interviewed over 2,500 TIs, states that the earliest verified TI cases emerged in 1976, when a large number had come forward. Among the early generation of TIs is Eleanor White, whose targeting with DE effects started in 1990. In 1997, she wrote an article titled "Current Mind Control in America, What We Think is Going On." She writes about combined knowledge and experiences from working with other TIs. She highlighted a critical difference between TIs and MK Ultra victims, stating that, quote, "Today's e-weapon guinea pigs are fundamentally different from old-style institutional and child-abused MK Ultra victims in that the torturers never need to come face-to-face with their victims." In her article, White describes what she says are first-generation weapons that can induce directed energy effects such as voice to skull, unrelievable itches, I get that, hot needle sensations, that, and the burning of the skin. I wake up, my skin is burning like crazy. She also categorized second-generation weapons that can precisely scan through sheet steel and can force remote manipulation of the target, such as inducing synthetic dreams or manipulating the hands of the target. She states that these second generations of weapons work with an unknown signal type. And one of the possibilities that she and her group gave were that it might involve scalar fields. White mentions collaborating and being in contact with 50 others with consistent stories. Other early generation TIs have independently reported similar targeting from around the world. New TIs have continued to emerge since the inception of this program, and all living TIs are still being targeted. Reports of TIs confirm that the early years of the TI program included a more limited set of DE effects that appear to mostly work through simple thermal effects. These early generation effects include voice to skull, artificial tinnitus, cognitive dysfunction, and sensations of burning, sharp, and electric pain on various parts of the body. Sometimes later, this was joined with more DE effects, which coincides with what White referred to as, quote, second-generation weapons that can manipulate biological processes in an increasingly sophisticated manner. TIs from across the globe share significant commonality in their targeting. Despite the shared pattern, the specific combination and frequency of DE effects they receive can differ. This variability is comparable to the approach taken by MKUltra, which utilized 149 sub-projects to explore different methods and combinations, all aimed at achieving similar objectives. Today, there are still thousands of TIs from across the globe seeking liberation from this program. So there are 149 sub-projects. This is why, when you speak to other targeted people, they may not be getting what you're getting. So please keep an open mind, because you've got a special program made just for you. Some recurring themes of malicious interference. DE effects are being used as a method to covertly misrepresent, disrupt, torture, impair, and condition civilians. The program manages the target's abilities and credibility and sabotages their efforts. To a TI, this is done in amounts that systemically and insidiously neutralize them daily for the rest of their lives, like blacklisting me from getting a veterinary appointment when I have a 501c3 nonprofit cat rescue. Yes, Dr. Rebecca Caleb Wilson, Anvil Veterinary Clinic, who I reported to the Attorney General, the Kentucky Veterinary Board, and the Better Business Bureau. Yeah, she denied me services, saying that I'm not friends with her friends, and she doesn't get me. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, how would she get me? I've never met this woman before. So these are the insidious slander campaigns that they spread through communities, all the while dumping animals on my property, pregnant animals that have babies. And they refused me a veterinary appointment. Misrepresentation. DE effects are being used to misrepresent a target. Misrepresentation can be subtle or obvious. This can occur immediately or part of a prolonged, orchestrated effort, such as crafting a narrative over time. Yeah, the narrative, like here, was, oh, she doesn't pay people. Yeah, I can live here for 6.5 years and not pay people that work here. Yeah, that would go over really well. It can occur immediately or part of a prolonged, orchestrated effort, such as crafting a narrative over time. Some instances may go unnoticed by observers or register only subconsciously, while others may prompt a more conscious shift in how the target is perceived. Misrepresentation is typically done for malicious outcomes, such as undermining or discrediting the target. That's when they go all out. They not only employ your neighbors, the mops, wops, lops, cops, pops. the cops, the criminals on patrol, the lops, the losers on patrol, the mops, the morons and matrons and masons on patrol, the wops, the witches on patrol, the pops, the predators on patrol, pedos, predators, pathetics on patrol. They not only employ those people to spread the rumors and slanders and the slander campaigns, but Fusion Center operatives come into the communities and they spread in misinformation too. They'll contact friends in your email list. They'll hijack your phone emails, hijack your friends list, go onto Facebook, YouTube. They'll employ unique cyber stalkers. Yeah, they're paid by the deep state. Yeah, the really nasty ones. You can go check out on my channel for my playlist of an infamous cyberstalker that was harassing me for a year. But his contract must have expired, so now they hired a female instead. And yes, that's what they do. They spread misinformation, which is why I created my own Facebook page for this town, since nobody had the thought, the idea to create a Facebook page for this town. It took somebody from New Jersey to do it. Misrepresentation is typically done for malicious outcomes, such as undermining or discrediting the target. This can be done indirectly, such as by inducing emotional states to manipulate behavior, or directly, such as by forcing a target to speak specific phrases that might be attributed to a slip of the tongue. Oh, maybe they have been forcing me to speak about the psycho-Satanists. Do you think that's it? Or did that come from my own thought process, my own intellectual property? Inquiring minds like to know. One aspect of misrepresentation comes from how targets are being suppressed from conveying themselves. For instance, suppression of the ability to make facial expressions or inducing cognitive dysfunction to suppress personality expression. Well, that would be really difficult to know because I haven't met any of you guys in person. I don't see your faces. Well, I have interviewed with a couple of people, and I did not necessarily see non-expressionless faces. But that could certainly be a personality effect of their natural personality type. I wouldn't know. One aspect of misrepresentation comes from how targets are being suppressed from conveying themselves. Another part is the additional malicious conveying. For instance, inducing facial expressions or a shaky voice to convey the target is emotional, or inducing an emotional state like irritability to indirectly manipulate the target into lashing out. Even if a DE, directed energy effect, causes a hidden feeling, such as dissatisfaction, to be manifested by the target, it would still be considered misrepresentation if the target chose to conceal it and was capable of withholding that information. Often the program misrepresents based on some stretch of what thoughts or emotions the target is holding in their mind, accessed from remote neural monitoring. Then, of course, there is a disruption. Disruption occurs when the program's effort to disrupt or interrupt the target's activities and normal functioning. This is often done to sabotage the target, such as causing mistakes or hindering their ability to recognize past or ongoing mistakes. Well, I'm going to tell you what they do with me, and I'm sure this happens to you too. I'll be typing, even a comment section, and I know exactly what I'm typing, what I'm saying, what I'm speaking into my phone. And then when I read it, it's like, I didn't say that. So they absolutely manipulate the things that you're saying. I'll leave a comment down below if you experience disruption to your normal activities by causing you to have mistakes, and for your inability to recognize those mistakes. Torture. The entire TI experience is filled with psychological and physical torture. Each TI is assigned a set of DE effects that serve as their primary method of torture. A large portion of TIs are tortured through voice to skull and induced pain sensations. Torture is administered daily and throughout the day, with periods of intense, repeated attacks. The program is merciless and relentless, even to children. The entire TI experience must be considered as a whole to understand the extent of torture. The TI experience has caused a number of TIs to commit suicide, murder, and carry out mass shootings. I'm reading from a PDF book, Targeting Civilians with Directed Energy. Impairment. TIs are often cognitively and physically impaired. The program can induce a variety of impairments with precision, such as impairing specific sets of cognitive processes, function of a body part, or a sensory ability of the target. TIs are often induced cognitive dysfunction, including impairments in working memory, long-term memory, and communication. A TI's psychological state is also managed through inducing artificial states such as passivity, sedation, restlessness, and heightened emotions or stress. So I'm going to end here. This is page 19 as I'm scrolling, but page 13 as their numbered page. They're numbered page 13, but in the PDF it's page 19. And the next heading is one of conditioning. Conditioning is a process of training behaviors through consequences. It's being done remotely to targets using directed energy effects. So that we'll start with part 3 on that. Meanwhile, I'm going to sign off for now. I hope everybody's doing well, and welcome newcomers, welcome to the channel, and thank you for introducing yourself in the comments section. I appreciate it. And welcome to the new Kentucky person who is in Trimble County. Yeah, so we've got a lot of targeted people here in Kentucky. But anyway, leave a comment down below. Are you a new targeted person? How long have you been targeted? How long has it been covert? And how long has it been overt? And are you experiencing some of these manipulations? And please feel free to leave a comment, a question down below, and share.